Franchise, what is going on, everybody? You're listening to episode 5 of the 4th season of the Let's Be Frank podcast. As always, I am Frank Lopez, alongside with my co-host, Frank Martinez. The band is back together this week, and we're excited to talk to you. Frank, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I just woke up from a nap. Sorry about the delay on getting
No, you're
together
good,
here,
man.
but so I'm fresh and feel good. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. You know me. I'm a night crawler, dude. I would have been up anyway. So I was watching Flagrant 2, the Andrew Schultz podcast. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so we're good, man. But yeah, man, we missed you. Miss hearing your voice on here. We've got, some spring training updates, news, all that stuff, mailbag questions that we'll get to. Glad we finally got to start recording. We had a couple little technical difficulties before we started trying to get into it. Um, so yeah, it's good to be back. But couple of things I guess we can start with. I don't know if there's anything that I talked about last week on last week's podcast that stood out to you that you wanted to chime in on, or if you kind of just wanted to get into.
I think I really appreciated the Trevor Bauer being the salad to the Dodgers McDonald's menu take. And in other words, you know what you're getting. You know what I mean? You're not going to McDonald's because
Right,
of
right,
their
right.
great salads, and that analogy I think it was spot on.
Yeah, I'm glad I got that across because I think I first said it wrong, and it made a lot of sense in my head. But I'm glad the point still came across the way it was supposed to. I ended up tweeting a different version of it right after, just in case people didn't get it. I think I said, I think Trevor Bauer's or complaining about Trevor Bauer, or hating on Trevor Bauer is like getting a veggie burger at Burger King is what I put. It's like you're still eating a fucking Burger King. Like, stop trying to, you know, question the morality of what the hell you're eating.
Yeah, I
Um,
got you.
but yeah, I mean, look, Trevor Bauer's. I was actually watching some of his content, like on his Momentum channel on YouTube. Um, watching, he was teaching someone how to throw curveball, like his curveball, right? The gangster curveball, and I was like nerding out on it super hard. It's been a while since I really got into like the mechanics of anything. Um, so yeah, kind of made me miss playing, throwing, do all that stuff. So hopefully I can get back out there soon and do something. But yeah, man. Look, we're what position players just reported a couple few days ago. I think the only one, Keibert Ruiz, right, is kind of like the only one. Him, I think, and a non-roster invitee guy are the only ones that haven't been able to make it so far. I believe he's having visa issues, which is unfortunate. You want all that type of stuff to kind of flow smoothly, um, but yeah, I got to do it the right way. Yeah, and no surprising really like injury updates, right?
No, I mean, no, not like last year. Last year, right at the start of spring training, there was already a bunch of stuff going on. I think Jock and a couple other guys. I think Cody's the one guy to watch right now. How is he going to return from that offseason shoulder surgery?
Right, 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 right.
You know, Dave Roberts saying the right things. He's not concerned. Thinks he'll be ready to go opening day.
Uh-huh.
But the luxury is that if for whatever reason he isn't, there's definitely reinforcements. I'm saying to be able to ease him back if you needed to.
Yeah, we definitely have options. I mean, that's been the theme, it seems like, since Andrew Friedman's really taken over the team. It's just been guys that can step into these roles, and I'll try my best to use this as a little segue. I mean, we did lose some of our depth over the offseason, and Kike Hernandez, and in Jock Peterson, right? I mean, Kike Hernandez is a Swiss Army knife, right? Like, he was able to kind of just fill in anybody for a temporary amount of time. He even played first base for a little while, I remember. So, I mean, you wouldn't really miss guys as much as other teams would, right? If you were to lose them to injuries. It looks like Cody Pellinger is going to be penciled in as our starting center fielder as soon as he's available to do so. But if for whatever reason he's not, I think we're looking at a mix between I don't know, AJ Pollock and Chris Taylor, right? But then at that point, we got to depend on somebody like Gavin Lux at second base. So Um, we're definitely gonna have to depend on you guys that we haven't had to depend on in the past. But it's their time to shine, and um, let's get into before we get into mailbag questions, Frank. There's a lot of talk about a World Series hangover, right? I don't believe World Series hangovers are fake. I don't believe it's like a imaginary thing, right? I believe they do happen, right? And I believe it happened to the Dodgers in 2018, the beginning of 2018, and they didn't even win the World Series, right? They lost the World Series. Um, Back-to-back long postseason runs, and um, 2019 was a completely different story coming after that second, I guess, World Series run. But in 2018, yeah, it took them a while to get settled in, and they had to go on a pretty unbelievable run in order to kind of creep into the playoffs. Play a game 163 against Colorado and all that. So, is a World Series hangover, something that you're concerned about with this team?
Yeah, I think if the entire core was running it back with no new faces, no nobody replacing anyone else, then I would be a little more concerned about that, legitimately.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're exchanging some pieces and you add some hunger, you know what I'm saying? I think that's what you're doing is you're adding some hunger that new faces, obviously the big one being Trevor Bauer, but you got guys like Corey Knable, guys that didn't contribute last season that now will be relied upon to contribute a little more this season.
Yeah.
And, so you have a little bit of a mix up in the clubhouse. And I think that is enough to really mitigate any World Series hangover because there's some drive, there's some hunger in place to offset any hangover, in my opinion.
Yeah. The day that Trevor Bauer got announced, right? That night there was a fundraiser. The LA Dodgers Foundation had like a virtual event, right? Raised a lot of money. It was really good. Um, and there was a few different participants, Trevor Bauer being one of them, newly announced. And he was on the Zoom at the same time as Magic Johnson, actually. And Magic Johnson actually made a good point, right? He wasn't just reiterating something that happened, 2 days later. But he mentioned that sometimes after a championship, and this is something that he's extremely qualified to talk about, right, with the success he's had. Sometimes after a championship, yeah, you do have run the risk of having a World Series hangover, but that's why you got to add some fresh blood. And he said it's going to be Trevor Bauer's job to kind of just keep guys hungry. And I think there's a lot of validity to that because you've heard it. I've heard it in multiple interviews that Trevor Bauer's done since being signed. He said, "I've finished second in the College World Series. I finished second in the big league, the Major League World Series. Like, tired of finishing second, right? I want to win a World Series." Which is exactly what you want to hear from the guy that you just, are paying $40 million to. So, you expect him to have that type of impact on the clubhouse aside from other ones. And then also another layer to that is there's going to be guys that, in order for us to get back to where we were last season, are going to have to, contribute significantly. And some of those guys are the young guys, right? And to me, we we're gonna need guys like Gavin Lux, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, guys like that to kind of ball out this year. Guys that still, even after World Series championship year, I feel like have a lot to prove, right? Dustin May was spotty throughout
Right.
the postseason. Tony Gonsolin was spotty throughout the season. Gavin Lux was pretty non-existent last year, right? As far as from a big league team perspective. I mean, he was there in spurts, just didn't really perform. And those are guys that we're going to need this coming season. So just having guys like that, I think, is what makes us, I think, a little less likely to have a World Series hangover. Not to mention another added layer is we're not playing, a season after a long playoff run after a 162 game season, right? Last year was a 60 game season, right? Yeah, the postseason was a little bit longer, I guess, even though we swept the first two series, right? So that's essentially like if you just played a 5-game NLDS and then a game 7, then a game 6, which is, yeah, that is a long postseason run. But an example of how that could benefit us is, look, Walker Buehler usually after every postseason run takes time off, significant time off before he starts throwing again. He said he's fine. He's been throwing all off season, right? Because last season they
Right.
had that break before they went to, what is it, summer camp they called it.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a year that a team is kind of lined up perfectly to repeat. The obvious roster talent aside, I think it's kind of this year's Dodgers, man. I think everything's kind of lining up towards them not necessarily having that World Series hangover, because some teams just aren't fortunate to have that new blood and it be a good thing, right? Take the Nats from 2019 to 2020. They arguably, a top 2, top 3 player on their team, and Anthony Rendon is gone, right? They're forced to get new blood in there. Why? Because they couldn't keep their best guy from that season, at least full season. So that gives me a lot of confidence, man. It gives me a lot of confidence that we don't necessarily have to look to the same guys. I mean, yeah, you're going to need Mookie to be Mookie. You're going to need Justin Turner to ball out. You need Bellinger. Like all those, obviously those guys Corey Seager are going to play a big role, but all those supplemental pieces did change. And I think it's, I think it's going to kind of swing in the Dodgers' favor this year.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's like a little bit to that point is, I know you don't work a traditional Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type work schedule, but for many that do, when you have that long weekend,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of a twofold blessing because you have the long weekend, but then you also have the short week following,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's a little like that for this season. You know what I mean? They had that shorter season. They had the sprint more than a marathon, and so players are more fresh. Players are able to do more this particular off season, like you said, and hopefully that means that they're ready to go uh, earlier on. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
especially in a division where we're kind of expecting a more, maybe this could segue into one of our mailbag questions here, but where we're going to expect more of a dogfight in that battle between the little brother down south, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I will throw in John's question here in the mailbag. This is one of our Mount Rushmore guys, obviously. Will loves Dodgers, and it's he asked this: how many of the 19 games versus San Diego do you expect us to lose as realistically as possible?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think the teams are, you know, the Dodgers are going to go into every game the better team, but when you play it out, the teams are about as evenly matched as, you know, as they've ever been, I guess, between the Dodgers and the Padres. So I would put it at about, if I had to put a number on it, 11-7 or no, 11-8, I mean, right? Dodgers win 11, Padres win 8. Maybe even 10-9.
It
I
says
see the
10-9, yeah.
I see the Dodgers winning the season series just because I think they're the better team, right? But the Padres are going to treat every game like it's like it's a World Series, and good, right?
Yes.
Um, I'm excited. And I mentioned in other episodes, but I'm excited for like a regular season to kind of matter again, right? I feel like the last, like, what is it, 8 seasons, like, maybe not all 8, but especially the recent ones, right? Getting to the World Series, all that stuff. It's always been kind of like, come on, let's just get the regular season over with. Regular season over with. I'm excited that we won that World Series. Let me go back to enjoying the regular season again. And the Padres having the roster they have is just going to make that all that more exciting. So I think it's going to be pretty evenly matched, like as far as the record goes. Now you stack them up, in a regular series where there's days off in between and all that stuff. I think just the Dodgers are, significantly better, um, but you draw it out like that, you're not always going to get their best against our best and our best against their best. Yeah, I think, honestly, maybe 10-9. I think Dodgers 10.
That's actually on Twitter what I replied to his tweet before he submitted it as a mailback question was, I
Mhm.
just said 10-9. And even if it's 9-10, even if we were to lose the season series, which should only be indicative of I think what you said is I think the Padres are going to treat every one of those matchups with just a little more
Yeah.
vigor, a little more. I don't want to say the word important, but they're just going to get up for it a little bit more, just
Mm-hmm.
because they have to. They're the hunter. They're the ones hunting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's good, like you said, because it's going to force the Dodgers to kind of say, all right, well, we got to rise up as well. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, the regular season means more to the Padres than it does to the Dodgers,
Yeah.
because the Dodgers can go through the postseason. They've done it. They know what it takes,
Right.
and they're going to set up for that, especially as you near the end of the season. Now, if it's a dogfight for the division title, and you know what I mean, as into September, which it probably might be,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's going to create some good drama down the stretch run,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. But I still think, even with that, if it came down to the final week of the season and the Dodgers had to choose between maybe getting a guy an extra some rest going into the postseason, or going all in
Mm-hmm.
that final week, I think the Dodgers would probably choose the former, just because the postseason means a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And so, with that in mind, personally, I'm not going to be as stressed out as maybe I would have in seasons past if
Yeah.
the Padres take the season series, or what I mean. Yes, the
Yeah.
fans,
Yeah.
yes, the banter, Twitter stuff or whatever. That's what it is. But I mean, I feel like I'm an aged, seasoned vet when it comes to this stuff. I think we all are. If
Yeah.
you,
That's what the last 8 years has done to us.
yes,
For sure. It's
well
it's
then, and
a
if
lot
you
of.
were,
Go
even
ahead.
before that, just the Kershaw era, let's just say, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, a regular season loss, or whatever, that's not gonna phase us, man.
Yeah. No, we've had for a lot of other fan bases in the last decade, a lifetime's worth of ups and downs, So, um, and it's crazy that there's players on the roster that have been on the roster that entire time. So, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun for sure, and it's gonna be fun, getting to know Padres Twitter and some of their characters and all that. We'll indulge, but at the end of the day, yeah. I mean, look, they're gonna come out and they might punch us in the mouth a couple times, right? But you know, it's a you know, it's a long fight. It's a marathon. So, um, yeah, 10-9. Screw it.
Yeah, thanks for the question, John. I know you mentioned you'd be a little more uh, emotionally invested, and rightfully so. We're fans. That's the whole point. But I'm good with it, man.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, thanks for the question. I was thinking about the uh, the Padres actually earlier today, and we've got I mean, I think when you look at 1 through 9, man, like obviously you think about their best players or whatever, but I mean you get to that like 6, 7, 8, 9 in the lineup, and it's crazy how good the Dodgers are. Like it's stupid how good the Dodgers are. And I mean, Cody Bellinger was batting 6th in the postseason last year, right? You're gonna have Chris Taylor at the bottom of the lineup, you know, and God, I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited. I'm hyped up. Man, games start this weekend, right? Like Sunday's the first game, I think.
Yep. And I like that Sports on LA is broadcasting every single spring training game.
As they should, right? I mean, come on.
Yes, we should have been that way from the get-go.
Yeah, what's been going on here? So here's your yearly reminder that the spring training games, the scores don't matter. Okay,
Oh, I mean, even the statistics don't matter.
statistics don't matter exactly. Just want to remind you guys of that. But yeah, so don't get caught up too much in it. But I'm excited to watch people throw the ball and hit the ball. You know what I mean? So to put it simply. But yeah, what else we got, Frank?
All right. Next Mount Rushmore member, our guy Daniel at Dan Kalbacher on Twitter. He asks, where do you guys think Price falls in the rotation? Does not playing last year help or hurt him in the first few months?
I'm gonna say in the first few months it could. Man, I think in the first few months it could help him because I think he's gonna be fresh. I think in the first few weeks it could hurt him because you got to get a feel back. There's nothing like actual competition. You know what I mean? But if you draw it up over a few months and then going forward from there, I think it's going to help him. I mean, he's, you know, got he got enough time to heal from an injury that he had, and I think he's feeling really good going into the season. So, um, where would I put him in the rotation? I'd put him at number 5, to be honest, um, because of what Julio Diaz was able to prove last season. I'd put him slightly ahead of him, and you know, not to say that can't change or you know, a lot of times the 5th starter is the guy that's like most likely to fall out of the rotation. I don't think that's what that means in this case, because with a guy like David Price, I think he's a little less versatile to like go to the bullpen and do stuff like that. Whereas the guy in front of him, Julio, might be more susceptible to doing something like that. But um, as long as he's healthy and he's pitching okay, I think David Price gets starts all season long. So I mean, but I'd put him at the bottom of the rotation, number 5, which is just crazy to think about, right?
Right.
David Price, either 5th starter. Um, so yeah, Frank, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm going to say, I mean, it really just depends. If you're talking all season long and who we're trying to match up as ace versus ace, you know, number one versus number one, and you're looking at your rotation that way, I think that's a little different than if you're just going from the beginning of the season, because I think Kershaw's likely going to get the opening day start, just
Yeah, that's
ceremoniously.
very true.
And so if that's the case, then at least starting the season off, Kershaw's the one. And then so you're gonna mix in Bueller and Bauer. And do you go with the 3 lefties? Is it Urias and Price? And I guess you know what, we can just mix in Miriam's question because it's applicable. And this is Miriam at boys in blue _826. You can decide whether or not to make fun of the Twitter handle. Um, little inside reference there. And Miriam's question is, as far as our starting rotation, who will be the starting 5 coming out of spring training? So if you're mixing in Dan's question, where does Price fall and where does the rest of the rotation, how does it all set up?
Yeah, the only thing I have to say about Miriam's Twitter name is just figure out a way to not have to do an underscore in there, right?
Yeah, if you can, it's always best to
Yeah, come on,
avoid
Miriam,
the
you could do it.
underscores.
You could do it, right? Avoid the numbers, do all that stuff, unless you have numbers in yours, but it makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I would just say avoid numbers. If you could just go straight across, it'd be nice. But I mean, avoid any like symbols. But anyways, I think that was 10 seconds. Yeah, my 1 through 5, and you made a really good point about like ceremonial, it being a ceremonial thing. Um, who gets the opening day start? Because we've seen when it comes down to, hey, we need a guy for a game. That's been Walker Bueller,
Yeah, and
right?
he's earned that at this point, for
Yeah,
sure.
but ultimately, opening day is 1 of 162, right? And you kind of got to give it to the guy that's in there, and it's still great in Clayton Kershaw. So I'd go opening day. If opening, I would go Kershaw, Bueller, Bauer, Julio, Price. Now, if the NLDS started, I would go Bueller.
Yeah,
I might go Bueller, Bauer, Kershaw, to be honest.
I think so.
I
Yep.
might go Bueller, Bauer, Kershaw, and then God, I mean, we don't know we're gonna get it to David Price. So I would go Julio 4, but and also when somebody's your 4th starter in the playoffs, you can go bullpen earlier in the series. So, but anyways, I mean we're far away from that, but yeah, that'd be my 1 through 5.
Yeah, I think those are the 5 guys, and that puts the guys who at this point, while you want to say, hey man, those guys deserve their spot, they deserve their shot rather, uh, Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin to be in the rotation. You know what? If history's shown us anything, it's that number one, they're probably going to have some type of an innings limit anyway.
Yeah.
they pitched in a shortened season last year. They're
Mhm.
not built up for anything like that to go 200 plus innings or whatever. So it's going to be such a luxury to have those guys work their way up through the entire season
Yeah.
with spot starts, probably, relief appearances, things of that nature.
Mhm.
Um, and you're talking about end of season. If it's a you're talking about in a series, and you're going Walker. The question mark is, you go Kershaw or Bauer in 2 or 3,
Mhm.
and then you're going to have the luxury of selecting the best performing pitcher between Urias, Price, Gonsolin, May. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, no one else really can say that.
Yeah, and I would say chances are, uh, not all of those guys will be bad, you know? At
Right.
least one of those guys will be a good option, right? Like, uh, so yeah, I think, yeah, it's definitely a, place we're privileged to be able to refer a team that, you know, that, that just has those options, um, but yeah, those would be my starting five. I mean, you mentioned those other guys that aren't going to be that don't aren't on that list. Uh, I'm curious to see what the Dodgers are going to do to get those guys in, because when I see Dustin May, I see a starting pitcher, and that's a guy that I think it's in the Dodgers' best interest if he's stretched out to go multiple innings. Like, will you have games where one guy pitches 5 games and then next guy pitches 5 innings and the next guy pitches 4 innings to finish it off? Like guys piggybacking off of each other. We haven't even mentioned Jimmy Nelson's name, who Dave
Right.
Roberts himself said that we can expect him to get starts. Like what, when? Um, so
Josiah Gray's, pushing.
yeah, yeah, he's moving up the ranks there, and it's only a matter of time before he's really um, in that conversation. And if he is, I think it's in a best case scenario situation where he's just kind of forcing himself there. So I mean, look, it's an embarrassment of riches, I guess. It's one of those situations where you almost laugh at it because it's like, man, like I really like Tony Gonsolin might not get innings. What? Like, um, I was listening to Blue Heaven podcast last night, and it was Doug McCain was on there, and they mentioned how Tony Gonsolin might be a good closer option. And I had never really put too much thought into it. I never took that seriously, but that splitter, man,
Yep.
it plays up.
Yeah.
If you give him 1 inning, say, hey, you're gonna go 1 inning. You think you say somebody says splitter, and the first thing you think about is Aragonian, right?
Of
Dodgers
course.
closer splitter, but um, and although he doesn't have that 102-mile-an-hour fastball with run on it like Dustin May does, he gets people to swing and miss at his pitches, right? There's a lot of deception there, so I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, the personality would fit a closer role as well.
Yeah, just being a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, it's the cat. You could do
Yeah,
with that. You can market that. Like, there's something
yeah,
there.
something quirky, yeah, about him. Um, yeah, man, it just I think that's an interesting thought. Um, or even if it's not, you know, the closer role, I think his stuff does kind of play in the bullpen, to be 100% honest. So, um, if I had my, choice of a guy to kind of like not keep stretched out, that's probably it. It's probably him, um, because there's just too many guys. It's nuts, man. It's crazy.
While we're on this topic, I'll throw in the Dudist's question here. So this is our favorite coffee guru, uh, Mr. Mojo Rising, and that's at the Dudist 63. And the question is about the closer role. So it says, if Kenley melts down as the closer, and I hope he doesn't, how many games does Doc give him, and who's our next closer by default?
I think rule of thumb is always All-Star break, right? Um, because look, Dave Roberts said it, and a lot of people criticized it, but he said the Dodgers we're at our best when he's our closer, right? And it's hard for me to disagree with that. Like when Kenley's pitching well, yeah, of course we're at our best. Um, things just make sense in that way. But In this case, the opportunity for him to close out a World Series was taken away from him because he just wasn't reliable enough to do it right down the stretch there. Um, and the ball was put in Julio Urias's hand, and he got the job done there. So I think the idea of him not being the closer anymore is a little bit more real, right? But he's going to be given that opportunity, right? He's going to be given the opportunity that he's getting paid to do, that he's getting paid for, right? To do what he's getting paid for. So I would say about the All-Star break is around the time they really start. If he's not performing, is the time they start really looking at all the options there. So, um, and even that's a privilege, man. The fact that you can go like months into a season and then change your closer, right? I think, the Dodgers will be in a position where they could do that just because I don't think a playoff spot will be on the line. So they can kind of force the issue with him a little bit. Talked a little bit about Joe Kelly last week too. Like, we got to force the issue with a few guys. And I think he's one of those. I mean, he's definitely one of those guys. But everything just makes so much sense when he pitches well. Like when he's good, it's like, man, everything lines up so perfectly, right? Just get the ball to Jansen, everything else kind of falls into place. But so unfortunately, it just hasn't been the case. So, um, yeah, he got. I mean, what is it? He induced the softest contact last year in all of baseball,
Yeah, surprisingly.
which is an interesting stat, and
Yeah, I don't know
but
what to do with that, man, because
it,
it
it
seems like
seems
while that's the case, it's the fact, but it's like, man, those soft contacts always just seem to find holes in the biggest spots of the game. Case in point, Game 5 of the World Series against, I forget the guy's name, to be honest with you, but
yeah, Phillips. It was game 4 with Phillips. Like,
Game 4 rather, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's soft contact doesn't mean anything when you don't locate your pitch. It really doesn't. Like you position, your defense in a certain way, um, and if you aren't pitching to where your defense is, like, they can hit the ball 2 miles an hour, but if it's not in the right spot, like, it's a base hit. So, um, now that means though that there is some room for him to figure it out, right? Guys aren't hitting the ball hard off of him. Okay, well, that means, right, if he just locates and guys aren't, barreling up. So,
Well, then you got something like a Julio Urias. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because he doesn't strike every guy out, but weak contact, while
Mm-hmm.
he's locating, and you
Yep.
get that type of performance.
Yeah, I think he has an opportunity to be that. So, we'll see. It's it's a 162 game season, so um, we're back to that. So it's we'll see. It'll play itself out, but yeah, All-Star break is what I would give it. Maybe a little bit longer. I would say maybe a couple weeks after the All-Star break is when they can really start looking at other options there.
Yeah, and as far as something along that same timeline, I'd say, because then you also got the trade deadline that you can try and look at something if you wanted to
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
options. But as far as then who would be the next man up, uh, I would think it's either closer by committee or it's a combination. Well, which by definition is a combination of guys, depending upon matchups, depending upon the spot, depending on who pitched the day before and who's fresh. And there's probably going to be some options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Full season of Gratterall. How is he?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, does he get his strikeouts up? Does he get his out pitches up a little more? There's just so many. I mean, what do you get out of Brandon Morrow? I mean, I that's a little bit of a but he's feeling
Yeah.
good supposedly. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
health is there, so gosh, obviously it's tempting not to go into 2017 mode with him and think like, wow, can you get anything close to that? And imagine if you could, and he gets to run that back potentially in a postseason run again without the necessity to rely on him every single game, but only in spots.
Man.
Blake Trinan is back. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like, and there's more. There's more than just that. Those options.
Yeah, Cork and Abel, Jimmy Nelson. Like there's guys that could just fit their ways into, and you still have those youngsters that we didn't include in our starting rotation. Like if you're going to use them in some capacity. So Um, there's definitely options there. I mean, I I personally think the closer role, it's an antiquated thing. Like I don't think a team needs a closer,
Yeah,
to be 100%
I'm
honest, right?
starting to get to that point as well.
Now, if you have that guy, then use that guy because some guys are closers by trade. Like they pitch the ninth, and to me, Kenley Jensen was that guy. Like
Yes.
when he was the guy, he was the ninth inning guy, right? Because sometimes, um, some in his prime, you could put him in anywhere. 2016 to 2017, like you could put him in any situation. But before and after that, it was kind of like, oh, when you would put him in the eighth, it wasn't the same, and in the ninth,
Or
and
if you brought him in a tie game versus
yeah, 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 tie game versus or even like those games that they're up by X amount of runs, and would get closer. And to me, he was definitely a closer. Like his DNA is that, but after him, I mean, all the rest of them, I mean, prove that they can just kind of go in when you need them. So if that just happens to be the ninth inning, so be it. I would love to see that, right? Because it doesn't make you, doesn't handicap you in that way, where it's like, oh, you got to save this guy for the ninth. So, um, I mean, I wouldn't mind it, right? Like you said, closer by committee. I mean, it's to me makes all the sense in the world when you think of things objectively. So, um, but yeah, I mean, that's to me um, what makes the most sense there.
Yeah, I'm with that. And again, it's just the mantra, man. There's just I'll beat that drum of depth, options, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how this team is built. It's the way it's constructed, and it's proven now. You know what I mean? Last season proved it.
Yeah.
You know, they've been in the last 8 times. They're the ones winning the division and making a deep run into the postseason.
Yeah.
Sometimes deeper than others, but uh,
Mm-hmm.
here we are. So yeah, there's plenty of options, and I'm excited about the fact that how is it all going to fall into place? You know what I'm saying? And it allows me to be, a little more emotionally stable. If Kenley's faltering early in the season,
Oh
if
my God. Yeah.
David Price isn't, if he's rusty, or if Rust wins out over rest initially with him,
Mhm.
if Kershaw, let's say is struggling or something like that, like there's just built in a credit line here that you can
Yeah.
kind of just relax a little bit more than other seasons. Let's say like a 2018 when we were just all going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
for that first half of the season. So
Yeah.
let's
Hey, but
do it,
we're not
man.
letting people off the hook for slandering Friedman when he tried to go after when he didn't get Craig Kimbrell.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw your tweet about that, and it's like not. I mean, so many names come to mind though. It's not just the Craig Kimbrell.
Oh yeah.
It's Giancarlo Stanton.
Hmm.
That's if you want to go way back. People wanted to trade Corey Seager for Cole Hamels, uh, Chris Sale. Although maybe 2018 turns out differently if we had Chris Sale. But who would you have had to give up? Probably Urias.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So look, damn it, we're beyond that point. We're the fraudmen, and they proved it, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they've gotten our trust now, and I think it's just like let's go, man. Sunday can't come quick enough. Let's see how spring training starts to shake out. Uh,
Yeah.
I want to touch on one thing though, uh, and it's this it's this the whole idea or the concept of best shape of his life athlete, especially an athlete that is, let's say, at the back end of their career
Uh-huh.
and do whatever it takes to, get back into good or tip top shape, let's say.
Right.
And you get the reporter, you get the reports that come out about them being in the best shape of their life. And I just feel like, both I follow basketball and baseball most closely, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
in years past, it was football as well and whatever. I always felt like, man, when you get that athlete and it's back end of the career, best shape of their life, I feel like that just doesn't work out for them more times than not. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my head. Maybe the facts and the data bears that to be false.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like I have a bad experience with that, at least on my favorite teams.
Yeah, you know what? It kind of worked a little bit with Matt Kemp the first half of the season when
It
he came
did,
back,
yes.
right? But then felt. I just don't think once you get to a certain age, your body's not supposed to change that fast. It's not
Mm.
like it'd be cool. Like okay, like obviously, I think kind of referring to Justin Turner, right? Like how good,
Among others, yes, but yes.
yeah, right. I guess Kenley Jansen looks good going into this season or whatever, but um, I think you gotta every off season do what you gotta do. You see what happened the year before, learn from it, change your body in a certain way, but just this whole thing of shocking everybody by the way you look going into the season, like, it doesn't always paint the whole picture either. Like, what did you do with with your swing, with your mechanics, and all that such? So, with Kenley Jansen, it did make sense because I heard Mark Pryor's press conference, and he was kind of talking about like there's a lot of moving parts with Kenley, you know, and if he's just a little more free and easy, it might just be easier for him to repeat his delivery over and over and over again. To me, that makes all the sense in the world, right? But with Justin Turner, don't you want him a little meaty? Like, don't you want him like kind of just a little more like built? Like I don't need him to be Nolan Arenado playing third. Yeah, I don't
No,
need that.
right, right.
Like, hey, dude, you're gonna play. I need you to play 5 games a week, right? Five
Yeah.
games a week, and just hit the freaking ball. That's what I need you to do.
And
So,
withstand getting hit by pitches.
oh my goodness, yeah,
That's
you're
a
standing over the
factor.
plate. Yeah, you're standing over the plate every at bat. So, yeah, some guys it works, some guys it doesn't. Like, I don't need you to steal bases, bro. Like, I don't need you to go to first and third on balls to hit the right field. Like, I don't need any of that. Like, nah. So yeah, it is a good observation, and more times than not that, I think in all fairness, he was going into free agency. If he was going to meet with teams, he wanted to look a certain way and blah blah blah.
Sure, yeah.
I get it, but um, you know,
Yeah, I remember Adrian Gonzalez going into the 2017 season, and he took up a boxing regimen. I don't know if you remember about that. And he was coming into that spring training, oh, best shape of my life, and that kind of stuff. Guy in his mid-30s. Obviously,
yeah,
did not work out at all. But there's others. There's others that just come to mind, and I'm like, I wonder. I don't know. I don't know what the data says, but just eye test, which isn't always the most reliable,
uh-huh.
obviously. But yeah, this is something I wanted to mention.
It's definitely something to look for, like what these body changes do to these guys later in their careers. Like, I mean, I don't think your body's when you get a certain age, it's like no, you gotta.
And you know what? There's probably some personal bias here because in a group text, I have with some friends, like I lost 105 pounds, and
Yeah,
the one thing I had, because even being at the weight I was, I would still be somewhat active. I would go play ball with friends. I would go to the cages, things of that nature.
yeah.
And I was the guy just hanging out on the perimeter, jacking up 3-pointers all day long. You know what I mean? When I'd
There
go
you
ball
go.
up on weekends, and I could hit 4 out of 10. You know what
Hey,
I'm saying in
yo,
the
all
game?
right, Steph Curry.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I had mastered that. And let me
Uh-huh.
tell you this, man. Just the other day, I was playing some just pickup hoops. I don't have a jump shot anymore. Like there's no shot. Like it's gone. Like I can't even reach the rim.
Dang.
I don't know what happened. Like my friend was trying to tell me about balance, and he took me for a workout the other day, and he's like, "Look, you got to work on your balance, this, that, and the other," and throwing me the boomerang on one leg and all this kind of different exercises and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Bro, I feel like I'm in rehab from an injury." He's like, "No, it's kind of like that, but you got to look at it a certain way. It's just like your body, you shocked your body, and you're."
It's true, man. It really is. Like, I mean, I think that's a long way of saying that Justin Turner is going to have warning track power, but no, man, I totally get what you're saying. And also, there's another thing too. Like, oh, you feel like you kind of do run the risk of maybe like pushing your body too much when you're probably not supposed to, right? Like, what if Justin Turner does try to go first or third, and because of that pulls a hammy, right? Like hammy's not a best shape of your life thing. It's like if you pull a hammy, you pull a hammy. It's just whatever you stretch that day. Um, I don't want him to do really much else, anything different. Like, just be Justin Turner. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, I really don't need, like you said, I don't need increased range at third. I don't need
Just be
increased speed
you.
on the base paths or anything of that nature. Just hit.
Yeah,
Does the best shape of his life help with his bat to ball skills? Do you need, I mean, he was starting to show some kind of, wear at the plate with respect to his
yeah,
timing and things of that nature. So does it help there? Does it help with his swing?
it
Uh,
could.
Okay, if it does, then great. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying there's room for. Yeah, we're saying that there's room for him to prove something to us there, so, for sure. Um, yeah, man. By the way, I've lost 12 pounds.
There you
Uh,
go. I could tell.
yeah, it's
I could see
on
it.
the face a little bit.
That's well, they say that's where that's the first place it's becomes noticeable, right?
Yeah, and I think I just in general I lost like the most noticeable like 12 pounds I have,
Ah,
Um cuz I was at like 219 or something like that, and I'm back down to like 207 at the moment. So at like that two I would say like 212 to like once I hit that 212 it's like becomes really visible like how heavy I'm getting. So once I get under there I feel a little bit better. So normally I'd probably be drinking like Victoria or one of those beers. I'm with that a little, but right now I got the ultras going. So
well, I mean, do you though? Because I noticed the last episode. I mean, it was poured.
I do, bro. I do. This time, look at this. Empty. We're good. We're
I mean,
good.
I haven't seen bottle to mouth,
I
so I
didn't
don't know.
mug.
Mug,
But
yeah, mug.
um but uh yeah, I didn't really calculate for the fact that last episode I'd be the only one talking. So I didn't want any dead air there. I even did things like grab the glass and pick it up and you could hear the ice and then I put it back down and so this time around I had you to help me to get those drinks in. So so I appreciate it. But yeah, I like that. Speaking of old Dodgers though, right? We put out a tweet the other day. Uh if you go back to 2018, we get Matt Kemp, right? Go to 2019, we get Russell Martin.
Yeah.
2020, Alex Wood. 2021, Brandon Morrow. If you had your choice of what active player to bring back in 2022, who would it be?
I replied to that tweet,
Mhm.
and it was just because I couldn't think of anyone else. So my reply initially, was Jock Peterson because it's
Mhm.
a 1 year deal that he signed with the Cubs.
Yeah.
And could I see that happening? I don't know. I mean, maybe, would there be space for him? Obviously, you seem to have center field and right field locked in for the foreseeable future. So it would be left field only. And the thing about that is if he has a good season where he proves himself that he can play every day adequately, hitting lefties or whatever,
Mhm.
at least serviceably, then he's going to get a bigger contract somewhere else.
Right,
So
right,
that's
right.
not a big. The only way he would be back at the Dodgers would be similar to the guys that you mentioned. It'd be discounts. It'd be, Matt Kemp was a throw-in, salary dump trade, and
Yep.
he just happened to work out, best shape of his life. Uh, and then, Russell Martin, end of his career, seems to prove to have been his final season of his career. Uh,
Mhm.
Alex Wood was a guy, kind of took a flyer on him because he was coming off some injuries and things of that nature. So Brandon Morrow is the same now.
Yeah.
So if it's someone more on those lines, man, you gotta look down. I don't know. I'd have to think. Who do you got? Maybe I'll think of someone.
So a lot of people, okay, like the ones that we got a lot of. Jock was one of the. I think you were the first one to say Jock, but once you said Jock, like a lot of people started saying Jock. And yeah, it does make sense. Because by the way, that Players Tribune article that he put, did you read it?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like
So good,
I'm
man.
not the biggest
So
Jock Peterson stan, to be honest with you, but I was in the fields just his daughter, the dream big, and how this is what he's doing, to prove it
right,
to his
right, right.
daughter. Oh my gosh, it was a tugged at the heart for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Like I just you wonder like what playing for the Dodgers means to some of these guys, and like they're there, especially a guy like him because he got traded kind of, and then untraded, and all that. Like the dream big thing did resonate. I think with probably all of it, anybody that read it. So for anybody that hasn't, check out his, because I mean him and Geek both had little goodbyes to say to the Dodger fan base and the Dodger organization, um, and with him, there was a part he said, "Dream big," right? Like I guess he tells his daughter every night, right? Dream big, dream big, dream big. Um, and and a lot of times that's kind of corny, and like people say those types of things, and you don't always all the way buy them, but like the way he described it, like, yeah, why not? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? And just the type of player he's been for us, like performing at the biggest moments and stuff like that, like it just made so much sense. It just made so much sense to me. It's just funny though, because every time like he would be like in an interview, um, he just wasn't so articulate in the way
Right.
he would speak. Because like, look, it was such a well thought out, like perfectly articulated article. But why is it that like every time he he has an interview, he sounds like this?
Dreams that you had you you could you do
Yes.
once you could do so you do you want you
Right. Fumbling over the word. Yes, yes. He sounds like a jock, man, for sure.
Dude, that little kid is Jock Peterson, dude. uh, but yeah, shout out Jock. So like he was a guy that a lot of people were putting. Everyone's putting Puig too, and we've set our number on Puig. I think
Yeah,
that
no.
ship has sailed. Um, Clint actually said Pat Venditti. I think that was kind of
Yeah, I saw
a funny
that.
one.
Yeah.
But the one that I kind of liked, and kind of, I mean, I don't know, but one that I kind of was interested in was Rich Hill, right?
Okay.
You know, everything points to Rich Hill kind of being towards the end of the road.
Right.
But he's playing his career on a year-to-year basis now. I mean, that's just kind of what's happening. Um, Last year wasn't terrible. I don't think he pitched every game, but um, he's pitching with the Rays this year, right? And the Rays have something about them where guys do have resurgences to their career. You know what I mean? Like they just have that in them. And I mean, who knows? Like if they reinvent him in a way, I mean, why not? Right?
Bullpen guy, yeah.
Bullpen, lefty. So I don't know. That's one of the ones that was intriguing to me. Um, we got Andre Ethier, Adrian Gonzalez. Like we got a bunch of different ones. Um, but yeah. Shoot, bring back Eric Gagne.
What's Pedro Baez's contract?
It's a 2-year deal. It's a 2-year deal. So we'll see. Zach Greinke was one of them because his deal's up after this year, I think. Right, ring chasing.
Hey,
I don't know. We'll see what comes up. I just think it's funny how every year they kind of just bring back a guy. So, um, we'll see what happens next season, man. But next season is next season, and this season is this season, right? And this was the 5th episode of the 4th season of the Let's Be Frank podcast. So thank you for sticking with us. And yeah, man, we're super, super, super excited for the season to get underway just because of how damn good this team looks, man. So yeah, just stick with us all season long, guys. I mean, we're going to be doing these weekly, and we have the YouTube thing going now, and we appreciate everybody that's listened for a long time for 4 seasons, and everybody that's just starting to listen. So, I mean, that said, I don't know if there's anything you want to add at the end here, Frank.
no, please subscribe. I'm gonna do a YouTube giveaway. I'm gonna post from our Twitter handle.
Oh, that reminds me. So I was supposed to do a giveaway like 3 weeks ago, a month ago.
Yes.
So Alana Rizzo, right? She was the Dodgers sideline reporter for probably 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah, good at her job.
Very good at her job, right? And she decided to move on from the Dodgers. She got engaged, and now she's doing the whole, that thing. But just working with the Dodgers would have just taken time away from her, and her relationship is what she said. So she's on the East Coast now, and look, Alana, as great as her job as she was infamous for blocking people, right? And I've said my story many times, and as a few, so we won't get into that this time. But I was curious just to know other people's stories, right, as to why they got blocked on Twitter by Alana Rizzo. So I put it out there, and I said, you know what, whoever has the one that I like the most, right, I'll do a giveaway. And this giveaway is a Herschel backpack, right? It's like the foldable ones that go in a little bag, and it's actually really cool. I have one myself. but you'll be getting a brand new one, the winner here. And I got a lot of submissions there, man. A lot of people were saying like, honestly, half of them were like, I don't even know why I got blocked. Like she just blocks people. I think out of habit, right? um, but there was other ones where I'm like, oh, you definitely deserve to get blocked, right? I mean, you can't just like call on Rizzo a bitch and expect not to get blocked. So those are understandable why you would, but I think the one that kind of that I kind of liked the most was our friend Dylan Baker.
Okay.
So Dylan Baker, I don't know if you know, but there was or is a player in the Dodgers organization with the name of Dylan Baker,
All
right?
right.
So Dylan Baker noticed like, oh my God, like Alana Rizzo followed me. Oh my God, like she followed me on Twitter. Cool thing, right?
Sure.
Well, it turns out that she just thought that Dylan Baker was the other Dylan Baker, right? So you would think like, oh, okay, like if anything, like just unfollow him or whatever. Not only did she unfollow him, but she blocked him after.
Because he wasn't the right one.
Yeah, fuck you, Dylan. You're not the right Dylan. So to me, that was my favorite one by far. Dylan Baker getting blocked because he's the wrong Dylan Baker, dog. So Dylan Baker, you won yourself a Herschel backpack. I'll hit you up, man. I'll hit you up and get your address and all that stuff. So thanks for the laugh there, and thanks for everybody on the submissions, man. So
Thanks for being you, Dylan Baker.
yeah, thanks for being Dylan Baker, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're our Dylan Baker.
That's right. Yes.
So yeah, but yeah, go ahead. I just totally hijacked your giveaway, but I wanted to make sure
I got some stuff. I got a couple of bobbleheads. I got like an apron. Got one of those Jackie Robinson choir robe looking style jerseys.
the choir robe with the zipper.
Yeah.
With the
So in
shiny-
an effort to get some people over to our YouTube side of things, I'd like to hit 100 subscribers. I think it's a modest goal to start off with. We just launched it.
yeah.
And then so I'll post that, and as soon as we get to that 100 mark, which I think we can, I really do.
Yeah.
Then we'll do the giveaway
sure.
and go out there. And I don't know what it is. I'm still learning the ins and outs of YouTube, but I know like you get to certain subscriber thresholds, then you can do more things. I think you can customize your link, your YouTube link at a certain amount of subscribers. I think 100 it might be.
So.
And then if you get to more, there's other benefits and things of that nature. So.
Yeah, we haven't hacked it like the way that we know how to hack some of the other ones.
But I don't know if you want to again make mention about us trying to get our own originals.
Yeah, I'll mention it again. So we've noticed that like on Twitter, like some accounts have been getting clapped, right? They've been getting suspended or just for having music that is
Scott Warner, I think, is
Scott Warner is one of the more known accounts that's happened to. That guy Eric, he does like videos for the Dodgers and stuff. That happened to him as well. But so I mean, we figure that it's only a matter of time that it makes. Yeah, that's Twitter, but we figure it's only a matter of time. It makes its way over to some of the podcast spaces, and we're kind of on all of them. So I think we might be, if they use some type of algorithm. I think wouldn't be long before we're gone. So we want to avoid that at all costs. So we really want to make our own track, right? And we haven't discussed exactly what we want to make. That's up for discussion, I guess, right? I mean, we can go the hip hop route, the rock route. We can go some mariachi. Like we can do whatever we want, But if there's anybody in the franchise that really knows how to do that, and is just willing to kind of work with us on that, hit us up, man. We'd be really excited to work with one of you guys and kind of get something going for some intro, outro music, maybe some like little background track for like the mailbag, stuff like that, stuff we've done in the past. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love picking a song every episode. Like that's one of the things I do enjoy, but I think it's time, right? 4 seasons in, we should probably have our own song.
Yeah, I think it's established now.
Yeah. And but like I said last week, like Frank and I both know people that can do this, but I think it'd just mean that much more if it's somebody that listens to the podcast all the time. So I think probability, I think at least one person knows how to do that. So So yeah, if that is, hit us up, DM us or, on the timeline, whatever, let us know. And we can work something out, and you know, help each other out there. So yeah, there's that. Our merch is still available. You know what? Let's put a tweet out with the merch this week, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, you know what? I need new merch anyway. I need to.
Dude, those shirts are so like I'm not. This isn't even like an ad for it. Like those shirts are so awesome. Oh, you probably you're like 3 sizes down from the last one you probably got. um, but those shirts are like the quality of them is really good. Like I
Yeah.
love wearing that shirt, and everybody that's gotten it has told me too. Like, dude, like that shirt every time it's like washed, like it's the first shirt I wear, just because like the way it fits. Um, High quality shirts, right, for a high quality podcast.
Indeed.
So we'll put that link back out, and then create some new merch as we go sometime this season too. So last time we just did t-shirts. Maybe we can get a little more creative this time around. So
Yeah, I got a hat guy. So.
oh, there we go.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll start making some lids. And yeah, big plans for the season, guys. We just love doing this so much. And last season we didn't get to do as much as we wanted to because for obvious reasons. I think last season or last year, a lot of plans were changed for a lot of people. But it's definitely a priority of ours. So, thanks for coming along the ride with us and just for the constant support, guys. So, tell your friends about the YouTube, tell your friends about the Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. Send the links, all that stuff, and follow us at Let's Be Frank Pod on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook.com/Let's Be Frank Pod, and on TikTok. I made a TikTok. I didn't even tell you, but I made a TikTok.
Saw
that. So we'll be putting clips and stuff on there. I got to learn how to use that too. I don't even know. I'm old now. I don't. I'm of a past era where we used to use our words, right? That's why I use Twitter. So, but that said, I'm at Baseball Frank on Twitter and Instagram. You are at 2B Frank M on Twitter and Instagram. You guys are the franchise. We're the Franks. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.